everyone, welcome to Movement and Me, an initiative that is designed for budding artists across the world who wish to pursue their career in art. I'm your host Niharika, and on this show you will hear artists talk about their lives and the choices they had to make in pursuit of arts. We will also get to use some tips and key learnings from the lives of these artists, along with a detailed discussion on their areas of interest. So quickly hop onto a journey into the world of arts along with us. On this show today, we have Miss Aditi Koshvi. Aditi is the co-founder of the Dance Bible, a growing dance e-commerce brand in India, a one-stop shop for all dance and movement enthusiasts, focusing on quality, accessibility, and affordability. She's also trained in Bharatanatyam, jazz, and contemporary dance styles. After completing her master's in management, she entered the banking industry where she worked in Standard Chartered Bank, Wells Fargo Bank, and HSBC for over 7 years. But she quit 3 years ago to continue pursuing her passion in dance forward. She also happens to be an avid writer, with her work having been published in Goldem, Unread Magazine, and DNA India. Hi, Aditi. Thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast today. And thank you for agreeing to do this with us on this day.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Niharika. It's a pleasure to be here.
yes, so because Aditi is one of those people who decided to quit her job and pursue her passion forward, I think I'm also very curious to know. Aditi, tell us a little bit about your journey and how did you get started with dance? What actually inspired you to quit your job 3 years ago?
Um, I'd like to say it was all accidental because I've been dancing since I was a kid, but never thought of pursuing it as a profession. Like I learned Bharatanatyam as a kid, and then academics took over. We also used My father was in a transferable job, so we used to shift from city to city. So dance was always a part of my life. You would see me in school competitions, and you would see all dancers in annual how they are in annual competitions and everything. But I never took it up professionally. So life happened, studies happened. I did my economic honors MBA, and then when I was in a well settled job, I said, okay, now I need to go back to dancing. I started dance classes, and it was there, I think the stars aligned, and it was there where I met my co-founder. My co-founder, we were in a dance class together, and I think we both had the same wavelength and the same passions. I was around, say, 23, 25 at that time, like doing my job. He was also uh, in the same age group, and we knew, okay, we are not that young. We can't now suddenly quit everything and become professional dancers at this stage. Although there was a common friend who did that, and kudos to kudos to her. But we just definitely knew we wanted to do something. I was also just because I've always liked to learn new things. I was doing a site specific performance, site specific, how to create site specific performance arts. I just because I was doing a course, and we started discussing. We were doing ballet then, and our instructor always told us, okay, go back and watch this video. He used to just give us names of different artists, and he's used to tell us, go and watch him, learn about the technique. And in India, we didn't have any kind of resources, even books that we want to read on technique. They were all foreign books that we could use as a reference guide. So me and my co-founder Dipanshu, we thought we just need to create a platform, a community of dancers where people can ask anything. We have a leg injury. How do we go about that? What is allegro? What is a pirouette? How do you maintain your core? So we just wanted to create that sort of community. Yeah. So we just wanted to create a community where we could, anyone could ask anything related to dance. And that's how the Dance Bible actually began. We sat and we wrote articles on articles about dance anatomy, about different dance styles, how to techniques from the terms in we covered all dance styles almost. So it was a resource book, and that's why the name also came the Dance Bible. We wanted to become an encyclopedia, a Bible of all sorts of dance. So that's how the Dance Bible actually started. And from there to here, it's been quite a journey. We've gone through different transitions, pivoted a lot to being where we are today.
That is very interesting. Um, I mean, just a little bit of information. Also, so site-specific dance is something that has recently gained a lot of popularity, especially in the West,
Yeah,
which emphasizes and sort of explores a site and a performance
yeah,
that is created solely for that site alone.
site.
Right. So can you talk a little bit about what kind of site-specific, dances that you explored and, what did you learn from all of that experience?
I I did two. One was in a park. It was just and wanted to incorporate Indian classical and Western because I had learned both dance styles. So one was created in a park just because of I think the architecture, and I wanted the connection between the human and the nature vis-a-vis Indian classical and Western styles. So I wanted to explore that. So that was one, and the second was in a school. My mother was a teacher, and I wanted to explore, how students with their growing age, dance being such an important tool of wholesome development, and in education, the school being the body where a child gets to become the person he or she is. So those two I explored, and it was just because. And site specific, I don't know how I reached to doing that course. It was just something that landed. I saw site specific performance, and it intrigued me, and that's why I just did that.
That is actually very interesting. I have personally experienced a couple of site-specific dances myself when I was doing my masters, and it is very interesting to talk when you talk about the fact that you wanted to bring the humanness and nature together, similar to how you're trying to bring the Indian classical dance forms and the Western classical styles together. It's a very interesting way of looking at movement and
Right.
trying to compare it with something that we all experience around us. So that I think is very interesting. Um, yes, site-specific dance is very tough according to me. It's very difficult. It requires a lot of thought and it requires
Yeah,
digging deeper into the space where you're creating the artwork and trying to really understand what you are trying to convey as message and meaning for that space.
true.
So I think, yeah, but I'm kudos to you for being able to pull that off. And I'm really surprised to hear that you were able to find a course on site-specific dance forms.
It
Extremely intriguing to hear that.
Yeah, it was on Coursera, and yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, it was very interesting just to explore that. At that time, because also as a dancer, I was exploring modern dance style
Mhm.
and just free movement. Learning any Indian or Western classical, so ballet or say Bharatnatyam or any other Indian classical. It's very technique based. It's very you have your specific postures, and then in contemporary or and modern, you get to know your body more. How to move in the space, just free movement, and you get to learn a lot about your own body. So
Right.
that was a phase where I was learning that, and yeah, I just did it. I wanted to explore more, and that's why site specific happened.
No, actually, that's very
And
interesting.
I think with site specific, I felt more and more inclined to do something further, and I met my co-founder, and and then the Dance Bible happened.
Right. So that brings me to my next question. You and I have talked extensively about this, and I remember you telling me that you started Dance Bible not as what it is today, not
Yeah.
as an e-commerce brand, but something completely different. And you just touched upon it in your journey question. So, do you want to expand on that for us?
Yes, sure. So the Dance Bible always and still today we want it is about the community and the dance community, and how in India we want to take dance forward, how we want to make it very very mainstream, how we want people to be able to take up dance as a career and not think twice about it. Or definitely parents, any parent in any profession, any new profession, they need convincing, but to make them understand easily of what dance is, what the scope is, and why it's not just, in today's age, it's just not a hobby anymore. That's always been our main purpose. So when we first started with the blog, our journey has been, as the Indian market has grown, we have grown with it. I would like to say, we have, in parallel, we've been moving. Um, Sometimes I feel, okay, we have been able to educate more and more people around us, and we've seen the change together. So with the blog, with the articles, we did a lot of dance interviews, a lot of dance diaries. We brought people along who were professional dancers, and they wrote how their journey has been, how they, from a dancer to becoming a dance teacher, or they went abroad to pursue further dance training. So we used to share that a lot. Then there came a time where we wanted, as I said, to bring it mainstream. We started with dance merchandise. We did dance T-shirts with quirky, fun quotes. We just wanted a person who's sitting with a, say a T-shirt saying "Dance It Out." We wanted them to express how they are feeling, and we wanted that to bring about in our clothing as well. And then we've been answering what the market is demanding. So since we were, all of us were ballet dancers, we knew there was a need for ballet dance shoes and ballet dance attire in India. It was just a growing. Today we're seeing a lot of ballet schools and very well training here in India.
Right.
3 years back, that we had just started then, so we got the demand for dance shoes, and we catered to it. So that's how we then, from dance merchandise, moved into ballet dance, then belly dancing, and our vision has expanded as the market has responded.
Um, those are quite interesting conversational points. I'm going to pick up on the one that actually piqued my interest.
Sure.
You say that your dance Bible company, or your initiative, I would call it an initiative now, has evolved based on the market needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So could you talk a little bit about what changes have you observed in your relation while you were, in conversation with the industry at large and with the people at large? What has changed? What has evolved? What do you think people are looking forward to now? And do you think there's scope to improve it further? What is that? Where do you stand on that?
Definitely, there's always scope to improve a lot. um, so say 3 years back, 4 years back, uh, there was definitely a boom in the dance industry. I would say it came a lot from the dance reality shows. Now that's a separate conversation. Um, how it was, how the dance techniques in it were portrayed, and what kind of dance styles were picked and everything. That's a separate conversation, but it did help the dance industry on a whole, because dancers from smaller cities, they aspired to become professional dancers. They saw that, because Bollywood, and Bollywood has a very big impact on every Indian, Indian's life. So with dance reality shows, even a small dancer who used to watch YouTube videos and used to enact on Michael Jackson's songs, on Britney Spears, and all that, they knew that they had a venue. They aspired towards, coming onto reality shows. So with that, there was definitely a boom, which we have seen in the last few years. With that, professional training also grew when they were introduced. So ballet wasn't introduced to smaller cities up until a few years back. It was with the dance reality shows that people knew of a term called jazz or ballet. So they aspired to do that professionally. Um, And in bigger cities it was being taught professionally. People then moved and trained themselves. So that was a few years that happened a lot. um,
So those are quite interesting points to make. You do talk about reality shows. I'm actually also personally very, slightly uncomfortable, although I do agree, like you
yeah,
said, that with the introduction of the reality shows, the dance community has suddenly, expanded, and people have become more open to looking at dance as a profession. Although it's still restricted to just performance at this moment, which puts a lot of pressure on the performance industry, because you have to,
right.
there are so many people who are pursuing performance as an end result. And so if there are like huge numbers of people who are trying to enter the industry as performers, you also need to sort of supply for them. It's like a demand and supply issue there.
Right.
So um, I have other reservations with reality shows as well, but we'll talk about that later. um,
I know, me too.
So
Yeah.
there's something very interesting that you talk about here, which is the fact that the introduction of professional learning and
Right.
professional development courses for performers and artists across the world. Because you have conducted workshops for people, you've arranged workshops through Dance Bible, you have interviewed a lot of people yourself. So tell us a little bit about the problem of people not having enough professional development background, like not getting that kind of training in order to go further into, say, growing as a performer or learning, methods and techniques that will get them that extra um, extra bounce, or sort of that fluidity and understanding of their own body and form and fitness as well, a little bit. So tell us a little bit about what you think professional development in the field of dance, particularly for technique, is
Right.
actually going to have as an impact.
Right. So this again is a very complex topic because India is such a complex country. Why? Because professional development and education is of utmost importance for any dancer. You need to have the right technique in any dance style to say that I am a Bharatnatyam dancer or a ballet dancer or a jazz dancer. There's years and years of training and technique training that go, and even at after say 10 years of training, you can never say that you're done, right? You're always learning. But again, so when the dance industry opened up and people came to know about different dance styles, they obviously wanted to pursue that dance style. Now India become being such a diverse country with smaller cities, what happened, even if they trained for say 1 or 2 years, they got a basic knowledge of say certain dance style. And because the economies are never in favor of artists and dancers, they've spent so and so money in their dance training of say 2 years. They want now to make further on that. So they thought that okay, now I can become a teacher and I can start training.
Right.
And this obviously does have its limitation and has an adverse impact because you are not well equipped, not well trained enough. You're not coming with that knowledge. Say a teacher who's done a dance teaching program, for example, but they feel they've done enough because in their small city they are the only ones who know about ballet dance. So they then open their own dance academy or dance studio. um, so it's a very complex problem and it's a very complex challenge.
Right.
Some dance institutes, some training institutes in India, they do have teacher training programs. um, and so it's you all the dancers need to understand that if it's one is performing arts that they can get into, they can become performers. One is if they want to do open their own studio, want to become a teacher, then they need to have that further kind of education to get into that profession. They can't just say have 1 or 2 years of training and then become a teacher, although many in smaller cities are doing that. And you can't blame them, really. It is what it is. They also need to earn an income. um, Arts and an industry, you need to people do need to think where how their income is coming in. So you can't blame them, but we just need, on the whole, we need to provide courses and education systems that are more accessible, more pocket friendly, and reach out to all the masses, even in the smaller cities. And I think with the pandemic, it's actually a good thing with virtual. It has happened a lot, I feel. Virtually now, people are training. The world has opened up to them, I think, this year.
Um, if you ask me, as arts and as artists, I think we've received a lot more, I think, acceptance
Yeah.
than we've had before, which is personally a great thing according to me, because we've experienced the other side as well, where arts was only considered to be a source of
Right.
entertainment, and assume that that's the only thing that arts provides. But with the pandemic hitting, I think people have just become more aware of the fact that arts actually impact us much in a much deeper manner
Right.
than just being a source of entertainment. So yeah, I mean, while we're at the topic, Ms. Adya Kaktikar, Associate Professor at Shivnada University, talks in depth about the role and importance of arts in the world.
Yes.
Um, the link will be provided at the top in the suggestion box in case you want to take a look. Uh, Moving on to have a conversation with you about things that you've talked about. Some very interesting points that you've made here about, professional development courses, about inculcating and including education as something that is necessary for an artist to hold.
Right.
I think we are living at a time when a certification or a diploma course is considered to be enough for you to continue go on to teaching, and
Hmm.
also exploring and also performing for that matter at various stages, which may or may not actually help you, because if you don't indulge in the art form for long enough, you might not be able to make the most out of the form as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's a very, I think that's a challenge that we're experiencing. Although I am hoping that the new education policy
Yes.
that the government has rolled out does have some impact,
I think we're all
because it
waiting to see what that has in store.
yeah, as dance and arts enthusiasts, I think we are all just like sitting at the end of our
Yeah.
seats, being like, what's coming?"
Yeah.
Which is good, because I think this is a much needed change in the way that we approach arts. We understand how disciplines work. This idea of integrating arts with different disciplines is something that is very interesting, very useful in today's time, because we're looking at developing soft skills, 21st century skills that we're every profession out there is seeking.
Yeah.
If we are able to find ways of integrating different disciplines together to, provide more opportunities to students where they can learn these soft skills better, it might actually just do them like a great service,
Yeah.
for the lack of a better word.
Right. Yeah, I
um,
I always say that dance is not just for dancers. I mean, this pandemic has expanded everyone's view of what movement really is. Sitting at home, working like on your screens 24/7 with the work at home, people have realized they need to, and they've gone back to what they love. Certain people have picked up dancing, they've taken up dance classes, others have, started doing yoga. So the pandemic has opened how movement can really help you, and you can't say, ever see dance in isolation. Dance is not just a certain dance style or a technique that you pick up. I feel more, and the more and more you bring it in your everyday lives and incorporate, and as you said, you can, integrate different art forms, the better.
you pointed something very interesting out for me. I was going to ask you that question next, but because you brought it up, fitness, a very important part of our dance community, for our dance community,
Yeah.
and also something that you as a dancer have been quite close to.
Hmm.
You also said something about how, and what kind of equipments you're going to provide on Dance Bible, and what it is that you're thinking of doing. So, do you want to talk a little bit about the products that you have on Dance Bible?
Yes. So the Dance Bible, we want to be like want to cater to all dance and movement enthusiasts. So that incorporates your dance, yoga, fitness, everything. And we always had the long term vision of moving into movement and active way. But with the pandemic, that pivoting happened early on, because with our dance wear, so we do have leotards and dance shoes. Leotards are actually going to come, yes, in the designing phase, but we have ballet shoes and ballet dresses for kids. We had belly dancing costumes, and we had a merchandise with, say, a printed t-shirts and gift items like mugs and everything. With the pandemic, since there was increase at doing fitness at home and yoga at home, we started with doing fitness equipments, which are very affordable. And if skipping ropes are a best cardio that you can do, you can just do 10 minutes of jump rope and you're good to go for the day. It's a great cardio workout. So we started doing, bringing in skipping ropes, resistance band, loop resistance bands, toning tubes. And that was, even pandemic was a tough time for everyone, every business, including ours. So I think moving into fitness equipments quicker was a great thing for us. And in future, currently we are in the designing of leotards, adult leotards. We do have kids, in kids segment we do have dance leotards. We are moving into adult leotards, gym and fitness yoga leggings. So we are trying to expand our product line.
So anybody who's looking to buy anything from Dance Bible, click on the on the link which is provided in the description box below for you all. Click on the link, go ahead, explore the website. You'll find a lot of merchandise and a lot of material that you may be able to use, to continue dancing and doing fitness at your own places. Do not forget to click on the link and explore. So you talk about a lot of things, and you've sort of been talking about your journey. You've talked about how you've gotten this far, and I do remember when I was introducing you, I talked about your 7-year experience in banking as well. My question to you, and I think this is something that I've been thinking about asking ever since we started talking, um, what are the challenges that you've faced? Because I understand that you've come this far, you've done a lot with Dance Bible as well. We've all seen that you've moved from, just doing blog posts to interviews to planning workshops, and now into e-commerce industry. Can you talk us through on what the challenges were that you faced, and what exactly were your steps in, or sort of in against, or as a consequence of these challenges?
Yeah, sure. So I think when we started, our biggest challenge was, we had a big, great vision. Uh, but I think we were too advanced at that stage for our time. Like today, you're conducting this interview. We tried doing this 5, 6 years back, when there was maybe not such a bigger market as it is today. So when we started educating the dance industry, telling them why this is important, I think initially that was our biggest challenge. Um, then when we came into the social media social media era, at that time, educating the dancers why it is important for them to have a presence on social media, that was then the biggest challenge, because we did a lot of workshops. We then wanted artists to collaborate, and today we see a lot of open workshops happening. We see a lot of dancers collaborating, say, two different dancers from different dance styles. They come up and they have a workshop series. 5 years ago, in Delhi at least, I think we were the first ones who kind of started with this multi-style dance workshop. We used to have something called the Delhi Dance Marathon, where in a period of 1 day or 2 day workshop, we introduced 4 or 5 different dance styles to the masses, because initially people were just learning one dance style. So that and then for them educating the, again, to tell them why a dancer who's trained in ballet needs also to have the understanding of say hip hop, or needs to have an understanding of yoga, to better understand their bodies. So I think initially our biggest challenge was educating the industry and the people. We wanted to tell them in our first website. Now our website is completely revamped. In our first website, we had something called the dancers portfolio. We wanted people to make their own resumes, CVs, portfolios on our website. So anyone who wants to look for a job opportunity or wants to, they could have their portfolio on our website. So again, telling them why that is important. Now say any, if you see, look to the west, every dancer has their own website, every dancer has their own manager. So again, I think initially our biggest challenge was educating them, telling them why it is important for you to be on social media, to be on the Dance Bible platform, to be a part of a community. Why is it important to network? Initially that was our biggest challenge, and as we grew, um, so from the startup phase to now slowly scaling up to becoming a small business, now our challenges are quite different. Now our challenges, of course, are systems and resources and funding. So now we are on a different platform, and but I think making dancers understand why they can't just be isolated to just learning about their dance style. They also need to understand what marketing is. They also need to understand um, what the world is doing, what people around them are doing. So learning on a daily basis, and then educating the audience how to appreciate a dance, an art form. Because India, that is I think the biggest challenge in India, that the audiences, they don't appreciate arts enough to say pay for a live performance. They would happily go and watch a movie, but to pay the same amount or lesser amount to watch a live performance, we have a very niche audience for that. So on the whole, these are big challenges that not just us, I think every dancer, every professional in this industry, these are the challenges that they have.
Some interesting points you've made there. But before we get on, thank you so much. You have literally tried to sort of turn dance from a hobby to a profession, something that I discussed with one of my other interviewees who's also working on similar lines, but she's in North America.
Okay.
So there is definitely this issue of turning dance, particularly the Indian classical dance forms or the dance forms in the Indian subcontinent,
Mm-hmm.
into professions of their own, that stand alone and can generate revenue for all of us. Very few people have been able to do that, but even the ones who've been able to do that struggle to maintain that revenue stream as an artist all time. So there has to be other revenue streams also available that help sort of fund their progress and process into continuing to perform and present and choreograph work, which I definitely
Yeah.
think is a problem in the country. Um, because honestly speaking, arts can stand on their own, and it's something that
Yeah.
has been a debate for the longest time, whether arts is too, I don't know, too good to stand on its own. Can it be converted into a profession? And I think there are other challenges that come with such ideas as well, which, of course, as a society, we have to go through, we have to explore and find a sort of a solution to. But I think
Yeah.
these are questions that definitely need to be asked. These are conversations that need to be had. And thank you so much for initiating them in the first place. If you had not started what you started 5, 6 years ago, I don't think we would have been here talking about it on on an interview, um, where we explore other aspects of dance as well. On
No,
that
I'm
note,
sure we would, like, there have been many people who've, like, for years and years, who've been trying to have these conversations. I think it's the digital era that's given everyone the opportunity to really look into it and have larger conversations.
right, I completely agree. I mean, unfortunately, I only have access to you right now, so I can only thank you. But
No, thank
my
you.
heartfelt thanks reaches out to everybody who's trying. Even a small amount of effort goes a long way, is what I believe in. So
Yeah.
I feel like if we are constantly uplifting each other as artists, there will come a time when we will be able to hold and support each other as well as a community at large. You do talk about in the end that you had challenges and you really needed to sort of get them to understand that portfolios are necessary, and turning it into a profession is necessary, which is something that has been a concern from the get go. And I think thank you for bringing it out to us as well. We are going to hope that more people talk about it, and that more people can communicate and have a conversation on it, so that people understand the value and the need for it as well.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I've interviewed on this podcast have their own websites, even if it's like at an institution that they're teaching, or they're independently set out. So it's important because that is where you get to know what the person has been doing all their life, if that's the amount
True.
of time you've spent dancing, or in the field of arts. Very necessary. Acts as a CV as well sometimes.
Exactly.
But yeah, something that's worth thinking about. Thank you so much for putting it out there for all of us. um,
I think it is very important. Up until last year, we had associated with a few dancers, and we acted like their management agencies, so to speak.
mhm.
So we had a few dancers in the community we were working with. Um, and I want to say that it's just one page. You can't rely on, say, Facebook or Instagram to have your portfolio up there, because, like with what happened with TikTok, so many creators on TikTok in a day, in overnight, their work just vanished. So what will happen for dancers who are on Instagram only? What would happen, say tomorrow Instagram just goes kaput? I mean, there no longer is a platform. So you need to have your body of work somewhere which is your own. It is for professional dancers who are serious. I feel it's very important to have their own, even if just one page of CV somewhere,
Thank you.
online portfolio.
I completely agree. Thank you so much for putting it out there for us to actually think about. Definitely worth thinking about, everybody. As an artist, as an upcoming artist, as someone who's trying to get into the field, or who's already in the field doing other kinds of things, please, please, please find a way to get a website up. There are options available that allow you to create a free website for yourselves. So you don't necessarily need to pay
Yeah.
to get your portfolio out, or up on these platforms. um Having said that, I do remember having a conversation with you. This is on a slightly different note. I'm so sorry, but I remember having a conversation with you, and dance as a business is something that people rarely look at. It comes from,
Mm-hmm.
again, the conversation that you and I just had about looking at dance as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
Dance as a business is something that people don't necessarily look at. Entrepreneurship is still something that people are new to. So people look at it as something that, okay, it's worth giving it a shot. And honestly, I think a lot of the artists, the dancers who perform and choreograph, are entrepreneurs in some form manner, because they
Exactly.
have their own company.
Yeah.
But dance as a business is something that's not very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Have you faced any challenges when you first converted your dance bible into an e-commerce website, and when you decided that you wanted to be the go-to website to provide all of these dance related merchandise online? And if there were any, can you talk a little bit about them, and what do you feel your answer would be?
Uh, yeah, I think one, dance as a business, not many people think, because again, for so many years, dance has been kept at a certain scale, where either it's just been performances, stage performances, and we've seen gurus, and we've seen that kind of body of work, especially in Indian classical form, or it's been entertainment, it's been Bollywood. So when people talk about dance as a business, they have like, oh, commercialization. I mean, will that work for me and my values and my ethos? That's different. And what am I kind of maligning what the dance form, or what the history of dance as such has been? um So we need people to start thinking of, and every dancer, like you said, is an entrepreneur in themselves. If they are investing in themselves and wanting to become a professional dancer, they are an entrepreneur to a certain extent. And everyone is a manager. Say a school student who's learning dance, they are managing their time between their dance classes and their schoolwork. So every dancer at any stage, they are managers. So I want them to give themselves that credit, because they don't, because we didn't. So when you ask me what how our shift has been, even we didn't give ourselves that credit. We were like, because we started with that value system that we are going to better the dance industry in, say, in providing resources, in providing a community. And when, although it was a natural progression of becoming an e-commerce business, because there was a need that wanted that, was just sitting there and wanting to be catered. People were either importing ballet shoes, or they were making costumes at home, stitching them and doing themselves. So there was a need. But when we made the switch, it was our own, inner conscious saying, are we doing the right thing? Are we just capitalizing on it? So that was a thought that, and that I think took us a year to actually, till last year. We were doing a lot of management work, helping artists. Although it wasn't, as the return on investment wasn't that much, but we were saying we need to keep push doing that, because that's why we started the Dance Bible. And that's why we can't completely switch from just not providing management services and just doing business. But that was, again, our conscious taking that time to make that switch. For an entrepreneur, any dancer, they should give themselves a credit and know what it is, that it is important to think of it like a business as well.
The two things that I got my attention. First is definitely dance as a business. Entrepreneurship is also a form of business. And second thing, which is very interesting, and I actually personally never looked at it that way myself, is that we're all managers. Like
Yeah.
just getting ourselves to a dance class makes us a manager, because we have managed our own time to accommodate it. So any kind of investment in that sense makes us a
Mhm.
manager, doesn't it? So if
Yeah,
you're in the
yeah.
field of dance, you become a dance manager.
Exactly. And you are not just, you're managing time and you're negotiating with your parents. I mean, you have all those skill sets. You are negotiating with parents. Acha, I'm going to study from this to this. Like, and please let me go to my dance class. Or, I'll get so and so marks, but I need to and this is a competition that I need to enter. So I think everyone needs to give themselves the credit, because in India it's a tough place when you want to pursue dance or arts form.
Wow.
Things are changing quite a lot these days. I mean, the current gen parenting is amazing. There are so many. Most of our customers are parents,
Right.
and credits to them. They call, they try to understand. They have never heard what a point shoe is before, but they will call. They'll understand how it works. Why is it hard? What's a shank? They will try to understand, because they want to give that their children probably what they didn't have when they were growing up.
I think that's amazing, because I think that's what I think. That's how a society also sort of moves forward. When you try to provide something to your for the future generations that you did not have access to, or you had difficulty in getting information on, or you had difficulty studying about. But
Yeah.
I think it's a great initiative, because somewhere, while you might be a business, you're still empowering and educating people at large. Like you said, you get calls from people to ask questions on some of the merchandise that you have available on your website.
Mm-hmm.
And because we don't have a lot of awareness on a lot of things that dance requires, in terms of practicing or even just performing on stage, it becomes a necessity to have a conversation with people and talk about what the use of these objects or these items or these merchandise are in the lives of a regular budding dancer who wishes to become a professional dancer in the future. Uh,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so that is, I think, great. I'm gonna have to sort of wrap things up here because we're slightly running out of time. But is there
Yeah.
anything particular, anything specific that you would like to tell the audience members who are very much interested in pursuing arts and in their own spaces? Anything that you would like to tell them, and any message for all the younger generations?
I think, yeah, this discussion has been great, and there's a lot to talk about, a lot to talk about. So thank you for touching on few topics, and I think we could go on and on. But to the aspiring or to the young dancers, I would say that because we have seen the Indian small from smaller cities to bigger cities. We've seen how the mindsets are and how the struggles are different for different cities. So I know of a person in, say, sitting in Ranchi who's done ballet work only through YouTube videos, wanting to buy a point shoe but not knowing what a point shoe is for. So I've had those conversations with them. Yeah, have you just started ballet? Don't buy a point shoe right now. It's a very big investment. And then I've seen people from dancers from bigger cities, knowing what they want to do in life. So it's India is on a very unique stage at this point, and I'm hoping that with all our efforts, with like you doing this interview, with spreading awareness on the dance industry, with us trying to do our best and spreading all information that we can give correctly to the audience. I want to say to the young dancers, don't lose hope. And if you want to pursue dance as a career, it's not just performance or teaching. There's a lot of scope. We at the Dance Bible, we ourselves, from a small team right now, we had a lot of, we want to incorporate more and more dancers with us as a company. Our blog, we had to take a backseat for a while as we were focusing on our business, but we are always in need of dance writers. And every dancer in today's age, they need to equip themselves and learn about social media marketing, because it's a must for dancers to be on social media platforms. So when we look for hiring in social media, or in our first pick is always dancers, because although you need to have specific skills for specific departments, either sales or social media or marketing, you need to know of the dance industry as well. You need to have a passion towards dance. So as a company, we would be hiring a lot of dancers in future. That's one. And we are also um, have a sister page called the Dance Bible Events, and that's also the last 1 year has been just focusing on e-commerce, but that's again promoting workshops and promoting dancers. Till 2019 we did a lot of collaborative workshops. This year they didn't happen, but we would be on the managing side as well, and we would be doing a lot of events and workshops in future. Yeah, so the dreams are big and there's a long way to go, but yeah, we are getting there.
So anybody who's interested in continuing to pursue their passion in dance, please do so. I will definitely take Aditi up on her offer to provide you all, job opportunities at
Definitely.
Dance Bible in the future. But on that note, Aditi, thank you so much. This session has been both enlightening and quite interesting. I personally learned a couple of things, and I also gained a new perspective on how to be a dance manager, and how to acknowledge the fact that you are a dance manager. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for agreeing to come and talk to all of us about Dance Bible, about your experiences, about what you believe and what you have done for the community, and what you hope to continue
Thank
doing.
you. This was so much fun, and I didn't know whether the last hour went, and there was so much to talk about, and it was fun chatting with you.
Thank you all for tuning into Movement and Me, an initiative that is designed for budding artists across the world. To continue receiving notifications on our latest episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel Natya Mandalam, or look us up on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for more information. I'm your host Niharika, and I'll see you all next time.